Good morning, or whatever time of day it is where you are. Welcome to Dragon's Cave. My name's Karen. I've got these pretty little perfume bottle molds here. Now I'm making them out of resin, so I would not recommend actually putting perfume in them. But that's by the by, they're very pretty. So I'm going to try two different ways of filling them. In one, I'm going to use this pretty little blue baby's breath. And in the other, I'm going to go with like a coppery coloured foil. So they have little lids also, stoppers. So I'm going to go and mix up my resin, and I will be back with you very shortly. Bye. Okay, we're back. I've got roughly 30 grams of resin Pro Eye Crystal mixed up for each one. I'm trying to make sure you're still in shot. Now, I know that these flowers do hold an awful lot of bubbles, but before I pop the flowers into the pot, I'm just pop in a tiny bit of this diamond dust sparkly thing. Don't want to use too much. I just want to give it a light sparkle. And if you use too much of this, that's all you'll see. Of course, I just sat down and I didn't grab my stirring stick. It's too early in the morning for this. And I don't really want to stir it with a nail file either. I don't know how that got mixed in with my stirring sticks, but it did. It's okay. Takes a little bit to kind of get going, but once it's started mixing, it goes in quite easily. There you go, that's done. It was quite a lot, more than I thought I'd put in there, but it'll be fine. So I'm going to cut up 2 little stems of these. Pop them in there to start getting the bubbles out of them. A little more, I think. I think we leave it at that because they are very small molds and they do have this in the middle as well, which stops them. Obviously takes up some space. So I'm going to pop those in there. I keep saying pop. I don't know why. Okay, they're in. I'm going to leave those for a couple of minutes to try and let the bubbles rise. The heart-shaped one, I'm going with the oil. Will stick into my fingers, but that's fine. It does not want to come off. There we go. Again, I want this to be mostly clear, so I don't want too much foil in there. I've got a little bit more resin on the side just in case, but I'm hoping I won't need it. So where do I begin? I will begin by pouring this because this doesn't trap bubbles like the flowers do. A little bit in to begin with and give it a little squish. Make sure there are no bubbles trapped around the neck of the bottle. I'm hoping that this foil doesn't sink, but as I've never used it before. I've used foils, but not this particular one, so lump up a bit. Hopefully it'll float. There are always ways to fix, or usually ways to fix things if you make a mess anyway. But I'd prefer not to make a mess in the first place if at all possible. Realise I think my cup is in, yeah, my hands are completely in your way to actually be able to see what I'm doing. This one is full. You move that out of the way and move this over to the side so I can bring the other one into shot. But also I need to do the lid proper. Not a lot of foil left in here, so I'm going to have to sort of scrape it out. We don't want a plain lid when we've got a nice glittery pot, do we? Almost there. Oops, missed. Okay, I'm going to move this one over to the side and wipe off my mat a little. Just top that up the tiniest little bit. I want it to be slightly domed so that if it shrinks as it's curing, it's not going to be sunken. Okay, so I pretty much used all that. It gives me a rough idea of how much now this mould holds, so that's roughly 30 grams per mould. A total guesstimate, but just grab a wet wipe and wipe off my fingers before I start on the next one, because I don't really want to get the foil into that. And if I can't get this off, then I will just change my gloves. I bought a load of these on Temu. They're not really a particularly good fit, but they're safe. Safer than not wearing gloves at all. Right, so I'm going to start this one. We're just dropping a little bit of the clear resin into the bottom so that I can squeeze it and check for bubble. That's a good little squeeze. I'm going to drop some more resin in, and then I'm going to take the flowers out of here and see if I can get them ish where I want them to be around the edges. There are still some bubbles, but with this type of flower, most flowers create bubbles anyway, but these in particular are bad for it. They're just very, very pretty and I like them, so I'm going to use them anyway. Oh, excuse me, I do have a terrible cough. Pop that one in there. And pour a little more resin in. These are floating, which is as I'd expected them to. I was trying to get the angle of them really rather than the height. Which is why I wanted to put the diamond dust in, because I didn't want to have completely clear resin where the flowers weren't. If I can just get this one last one in here. You have to keep an eye on this one to make sure they don't rise too much. Thankfully, there's a little bit of a lip which should help keep them down. Now, I'm going to take this lid, see if I can actually get that in there as it is, rather than cutting the whole thing into bits. My little pokey thing. This is fiddly. What I'm trying to do, if you can see, is trying to get the flower down the side of the stopper without destroying it. Maybe a forlorn hope, but I can get it down there. Hopefully it'll stay more or less in place. I'll cut the stem off later. I've got one more here. So I'll see if I can pop. There you go, I'm saying it again. Pop, pop, pop. See if I can get that down this side. There we go. A reasonably tight fit, so hopefully that'll stop it from lifting, floating, whatever it is that they do, floating. I'm going to drop this in carefully in the hopes that it prevent too many bubbles. I'm going to top this up. I'll move them over to the side. I'll babysit them for bubbles for a little while. And then I will be back with you very shortly for the demold. See you in a bit. Hi, back again. And these are ready for demold. I'm going to start with, what should I start with? The flowers. I'm just going to separate, use this nail tool just to get the edges loose so that I can grab hold of it. Come on. Grab it, give it a twist and a pull. It should. Oh, there you go. That turned out really pretty. I'm very pleased with that. There are a couple of bubbles, but they're inside. The edges are quite smooth. Let me just turn this mould the right way around before I do the next pot. I don't want them going a funny shape. Doesn't want to go back now, does it? Give me 1 second. So my phone is buzzing away. So I need to stop that. So see how this went. I trimmed down the little extra bits. Just helps to be able to grab the silicone if you can get it away from the edge. This also goes in a little, so I've got a huge air bubble just there. So I'm going to have to fix that with UV, but that turned out really pretty. I am actually very, very happy. So I'm not going to leave that in there, partly because I want to fix that, but also because I don't want them sticking together. Excuse me 1 second, I have the sniffles. There we go, blow my nose. Now let's get this one out. Come on, come again. Just give it a twist. I won't pull it as hard as I did with the last one. I think that is absolutely gorgeous. This back the right way round. Stop her out. Didn't get a lot of flakes down in the end, unfortunately, but I don't think that's too much of an issue. There you go, very pretty. Make sure I'm in focus here. There is some oil around the top edge there. And this one doesn't have any bubbles in the top, which I'm very pleased about. Popping my lid back. Now I did have some leftovers, so I did another one. If I can get this out. Now this one may potentially be full of bubbles because I actually used what I thought was kind of crushed glass until I realised later on what I'd done. And this is actually glow-in-the-dark aquarium stones. So I did have to work quite a bit to get the bubbles out. There's one or two little ones, but nothing dramatic. Oh, this one doesn't want to come out. No, move it out of shot while I pull it up against myself. And again, twist, pull, twist, pull, twist, pull. So we got sort of spaces-ish where the stones didn't go all the way to the top there. But there's no air bubbles in the lip. So there's only a couple of like little tiny ones here and there. Pop this back the right way round before I do the lid. If I don't do them right away, I'll forget and then they will be unusable, which would be very sad because I really like these moulds. Kind of break the seal around the edge. Don't know if I'm going to be able to achieve the... I'll try and show you the glow in the dark, but it is morning now. Again, no bubbles in here, but also no stones. But that's okay, I think it's pretty anyway. Except it does need sanding at the bottom. So, to finish these off, first of all, before I do the finishing pieces, I'm just going to fix this hole here with some UV. Let's move these out of the way. Oops, pull up my chair. And with my little pot. I just find it easier to do it from the pot. There's far too much come out of there. I'll survive. Easier to do this sitting down, so, and from the pot rather than making a mess like I just did there. This is going to take a little while because I need to build this up in little layers. So I think, other than you having to sit there and watch this boring part, I'm going to get this done off camera and I will be back with you very, very shortly. See you in a sec. Hi guys, back and ready for the final part. Now, I really like them as they are, but I thought just to finish them off, just that little bit, I'm going to pop something on each of the lids. Now, I've built this up best I could. It's not entirely perfect, but it's okay. But what I've got is this pretty little pearly flower. I'm going to pop that on the top. I'm going to use a little bit of UV in each of these to do this. So for this one, I've got a pretty pearl bead. And for this one, I've got this little pink plastic flower. It's going to sit just there. How am I going to go with... No, I think I'll actually go with glue this time round. What do I want? A bit of silicone to pop the glue onto. I'm using contact adhesive, just something I bought locally. I do have the B7000. I just find it takes too long to set. And I'm running low on this one because the tube has been squeezed in all 17 different directions. There's actually quite a lot in here, I just can't get it because somebody's been squeezing the tube from the middle, and that somebody was probably me. Here we go. Just get a blob on there. Get the lid back on. And grab myself a little, it's just a micro brush with the end taken off. So I'm going to start with the easy one. Pop a dollop of glue into there. I said it was going to be the easy one, but that didn't take into account how thick the glue is. There you go. That should be enough. I'm just going to drop that in there. I partially filled these with UV as well. Here we go again. Oh, that's a big dollop. I should really get a little stick to scrape that off with, shouldn't I? Otherwise I could sit here all day waiting for it to run off. And this glue does set quite quickly, which is one thing that I like about it, but also it gets quite stringy. Got the wrong flower in my hand now. I'm just going to take this out of shot so I can make sure I got it centered. It's pretty good. And now for the final piece. Hoping I'm in shot because I know I'm sitting down. And not get the stringy bits to run over the edges, so I don't want to spoil it. And there we have it. I might actually pop a little pearl in the middle of that as well. Why not? I've got one there. The glue is coming up through the centre of the flower, so should hold it in place. That's gone slightly squiffy. Okay, so I will get these, I'll wait for these to set. This one's got some stones sticking at the bottom. I have sanded it down a little, but obviously not enough. So it doesn't want to stand up. So I'm going to stand it in something while it sets. Of course, I've knocked everything else over as well. Where is it? There we go. Just stand it in that for a second. Just to hold it up. And I will show you how pretty is that. And then we have the flowery one. I think it just finishes it off with a little flower on the top. And this one, I'm not going to put that lid on until that glue is dry because it's all going to fall over. I will get you some photos. Really hope you enjoyed the video. Check out in the description below. I've got buy me a coffee, my Amazon wish list. Give us a thumbs up. Drop me a comment. And I hope to see you all very, very soon for the next one. Bye.